The news is live on Joy 99.7 in Accra, Love 99.5 in Kumasi. Affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Jubilee Radio Keta, Sun City Radio Keta, Saboba FM Saboba, and A1 Radio Bolgatanga. We are live on Twitter Spaces, Facebook live stream, and my Joy Online interactive app. The midday news is sponsored by Duraplast Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplast goes, water flows. Coming up, dispute between physician assistants and the Ministry of Health rages on as the NLC begins mediation to facilitate a truce between the parties.
If the government comes in, ministry comes in and speaks well, then we will withdraw.
We are expecting them to come out to say that they have called off the strike.
We will not delay in finding a solution to it. But the parties must also be cooperative.
We have more as health centers continue to reel from the impact of this action.
We suffer
in our community due to the industrial action. The nurses have refused to take care of them.
Also in this package, police prosecutor fails to present accused persons in the case of alleged theft of over $1 million belonging to former sanitation minister, as 2 more persons are arrested.
No, some of this we see it as gimmicks to deny people of the justice that they need. You know, this matter, there are so many strengths here and there, and we know it is one of those tactics employed to keep the people in.
We'll hear more from the lawyer who is unhappy with what he describes as an attempt by the police to keep his clients in jail, plus tell you the action taken by the Attorney General. Also, minority in Parliament takes on President Akufo-Addo for claiming it will be too expensive to complete Saglemi housing project as he cut short for a new affordable housing scheme.
The project that we have done, you visited that site. You saw the level that we got to. This government allowed their party boys to go in and pick the doors, they picked the glasses, they picked everything. All these things are what is going to increase the cost of the project.
We'll also hear from one of the developers, the State Housing Corporation, and in sports.
History made at the FIFA Women's World Cup as African champion South Africa sealed a round 16 spot with a dramatic late win over Italy.
And as chiefs of defense staff in West Africa meet to decide on a possible military response to the political instability in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, President Akufo-Addo says the safety of Ghanaians remains his topmost priority in the face of insurgencies.
The jihadist threat in the Sahel and its implications for all of us is something that is a preoccupying issue for all of us.
Meanwhile, the West African Network for Peace Building has called on leaders in the sub-region to address the root cause of the instability.
It is not about using militarized approaches in dealing with the problem. It's about dealing with the socioeconomic issues, governance deficits, the corrupt practices.
Thanks for choosing us. This is Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible. We've got details in a moment. I'm Bernice Abubeidu-Lansa. It's a pleasure to have you here. The details now. This afternoon, the National Labour Commission, NLC, is hoping to facilitate a truce between physician assistants and the Ministry of Health as they appear before it on disagreements with some clauses in the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act. The physician assistants have refused to work, insisting changes be made to the act. They want freedom to operate independently. President Anthony Asare Akon says a favorable response from the Ministry of Health is what will convince the association to call off the strike.
If the first hearing does not go in our favor, whatever, but we are looking at government's posture at the meeting. If the government comes in, ministry comes in and speaks well before the commission, then we will actually withdraw. That is for a fact. We will withdraw the strike. When I say speak well, is the things that we are requesting. You know, this is a commission. The case can linger for 2 years or 1 year. They could be adjourning. Based on, when I say the posture means that sometimes they might come in and rubbish our petitions, but if they are able to put down concrete that, oh, we are resolving, we've met them, we are putting these things together, A, B, C, D together. So please, then we will call it off.
While the ministry, on the other hand, wants the group to call off the strike now that mediations have started so they can work together. Public Relations Officer Isaac Baothe says the ministry is hoping for a proper explanation from the physician assistants on what they want.
After that meeting, we are expecting them to come out to say that they have called off the strike. Actually, the ministry intended engaging them. They told them that they want to attend that meeting, and when they finish, we will also deliberate with them. Like I said, they have a number of associations. It's not one association. We have graduate physician association, then we have the physician association. So sometimes it's difficult who you are talking with. You have discussions with this group, and the other group will come and say that what you have discussed with this particular group, we are not part of it. And so if they are the same group, like Ghana Medical Association, it's for doctors, and it's one group. Physician association, let's say some are graduate physician associations and some are physician associations. So when graduate physician associations take decisions, it's not binding on the physician association, and it's very difficult in negotiation. So,
while the NLC is hoping today's mediation will be fruitful, Ofosu Asamoah is executive secretary.
As a commission, we act with dispatch, and what I expect to do that we will not delay in finding a solution to it. But the parties must also be cooperative. If you are going to a negotiation table and you say, if I don't get this, that's the end of the matter, certainly it might not be very easy to resolve. It's a one of negotiation that is give and take. You make concessions, and then there are. So I think that you have to be open-minded, negotiate in good faith, and be ready to make some sacrifices and deals as well, rather than taking an entrenched position going to the table.
Ofosu Asamoah is executive secretary of the NLC. In the interim, the withdrawal of services by these physician assistants is affecting healthcare delivery at health centers and CHIPS compounds, even though the Ministry of Health says it's put in place measures to mitigate the impact. Love FM's Nana Boachi Yadom visited some facilities in Kumasi. Here's his report.
It's been a week since the physician assistants embarked on a strike to protest what members deem as a move to subject them to the direction and supervision of medical doctors. Patients seeking services at healthcare centers, including CHIP compounds, are feeling the pinch. At the Kenyasi Health Center, nurses say most referred patients are unable to go to bigger facilities.
Once the PAs are on strike, we only come to work, sit down, wait for the afternoon staffs to come, then we hand over our important things and then the word to them. It's over 100 because all the health centers are facing the same challenges, so they visit the nearby hospitals.
At the Antua Health Center, patients are mostly referred to Menchia Government Hospital. Some say they have been left stranded.
We suffer
in our community due to the industrial action. Some patients do get stranded.
Love FM's Nana Boachi Yadom with that report. We've now been joined by Professor Ajiman Bedu Akosa. He's a consultant and a former Director General of the Ghana Health Service. For more on this, good afternoon to you and thanks for your time, Prof. Now, we've heard from both parties in this matter, but drawing from your own experience as a former DG, how can this issue be resolved?
Well, I think we need to go back to basics. What was it that caused the introduction of initially medical assistants and later on physician assistants? Everywhere, if you have a cadre of staff who do, let's say, the full gamut of work, then at a certain stage, because of numbers, you want to provide another cadre that can take some of the more mundane aspects of work from that main cadre. And therefore, we realized that initially people who were trained as nurses, who acquired experience in clinical services, were then given opportunity to go to Kintampo, where they did more clinical work and became medical assistants. Later on, we realized that we were not training enough of them because, interestingly, the number of medical assistants, did not overtake the number of physicians. But what we wanted was at least one doctor to about 3, 4, 5 physician assistants or medical assistants. Then you could then provide work. And because of the way that we had created districts and sub-districts and communities, it made a lot of sense that you could then deploy physician assistants essentially in the sub-district, who were then supervised by doctors in the district. But what has happened is that supervision has not gone in the way manner that it should. And therefore, a lot of the physician assistants and medical assistants have worked almost as independent staff. And that is why they now tout their independence. But, you are a physician assistant. But the meaning of that is that you assist a physician.
So, Prof,
you cannot be an independent cadre. You cannot be an independent member of staff.
Right, Prof.
You are supervised by the physician.
Right, so clearly what we are seeing in some of the health centers that we have visited is that these physician assistants literally run the places, and so without their presence, nothing really happens in terms of catering for ill persons. So are you suggesting by your submission that we have created this problem that we now have to deal with?
Oh yes, there's no doubt about that. Because if you the sub-districts had the clinics in the sub-districts were manned medical assistants or physician assistants. By health management team, and therefore the district medical officer was in charge of supervising their clinical care. Now, if you don't do supervisory visits and you allow them to work independently, then you have a problem. I mean, if, for example, you run a polyclinic, and let's say you have 2 doctors and 4 physician assistants, then at the end of the day, there has to be a meeting that says, look, what were your challenges? What were the difficulties that you encountered? What were the cases that gave you a greater challenge? And you discuss those cases.
Right.
You are then teaching the physician assistant almost on a regular basis. But if you choose not to do that, and you leave them and do their work, now they're sitting down and saying, no, we don't need to be supervised. But how can an assistant not be supervised by the physician to whom he or she is assisting?
Prof, we'll leave it here for now.
It's a failure of supervision that has caused that.
Thanks for your time this afternoon. Professor Ajiman Bedu Akosa is a consultant and a former Director General of the Ghana Health Service, sharing his thoughts there. We will be following that meeting between the NLC and the health officials and furnish you with the details. But let's head to the northern region now. Tamale, to be precise. Our correspondent Martina Bugri is there for us. She's been visiting some facilities as well. So what's the situation where you visited, Martina?
I visited some kids compounds and health centers. So most of them are empty today, and we are told that normally when they come, these physician assistants would prescribe. And so because they are not there, people would prefer to go to PTH or to go to the West or Central Hospital. So the few I visited, some were empty. And at one of the health centers, I was told that what they do is they call their bosses to seek for advice when they have a case that is beyond them. And so largely, yes, it's affecting healthcare delivery in CHIPS compounds and health centers. But they had to move the pressure from these ones to the major hospitals that we have in the city.
Northern Region correspondent Martina Bugri there, away from health issues. Police prosecutors this morning failed to present accused persons in the case of the alleged theft of over $1 million belonging to former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Abnatapa. The prosecutors indicated the policeman responsible in presenting the 2 accused had travelled and couldn't produce them in court. Moreover, they indicated the AG has now fully taken over the case and will assume prosecution. Richard Kojonyako was in court for us. Hello, Richard. What more can you tell us? Hello, Richard. Do we have Richard on? Well, we seem to have a challenge with Richard's line, but we've been hearing from lawyer for the accused persons.
Our assistant police were saying all sort of funny things. I can't mention them here. No, actually, nobody asked for money, but funny thing.
With regard to the AG taking over the case, what is your reaction?
I have no idea of that, except hearing from air. The prosecutor informed the court that AG is preparing to take over the matter, and in my personal opinion, I feel if the AG is desirous and respects the judicial processes, they should have come to court today to tell the court that we want to take up the matter. However, certain so are not in place. Therefore, we need 1 or 2 weeks to be able to take up the matter. You don't sit in your office and you instruct a police prosecutor to tell the court that you want to take. No, some of this we see it as some of these gimmicks to deny people of the justice that they need. You know, this matter, there are so many strengths here and there, and we know it is one of those tactics employed to keep the people in.
You had a lawyer for the accused persons in the case of alleged theft of over $1 million belonging to Madam Cecilia Dapaah. Now, Richard Kojunyako has joined us. He was in court for us. Richard, what more can you tell us?
Well, so Benis, the two accused, 18-year-old patient Butchie and 30-year-old Sarah J, were not in court. The police prosecutor, DSP Emmanuel Nyamiche, told the court that they couldn't produce the two accused because the policemen that were supposed to do so had traveled to Tamale in pursuit of another case. They also told the court that they had apprehended 2 more persons in connection with the case and charged them, and so all 4 will be put before court in the next agenda. Now, the police prosecutor also announced to the court that the Attorney General had taken over the case and will be prosecuting the matter. So that is what transpired in court. But after the court, we had an interaction with one of the lawyers for the accused, Augustine James, who you earlier spoke with, and said that the police are essentially trampling on the liberties of the accused. And he made the point that the police of the accused had not even been taken, but the accused have an entirely different story to tell. He insists that his client have stolen absolutely nothing. And so that is what happened in court.
Richard Kojunyako there for us in court. But as you just heard, the Attorney General has given some advice on the matter. Elton Brobe has details of that. What's the AG saying to the police, Elton?
So long advice to the police, but in summary, the Attorney General is saying that Cecilia Dapaah stated in her initial complaint to the police on July 1, 2023, that $800,000 belonging to a deceased brother and 300,000 Ghana cedis contribution towards her mother's funeral contained in a box and a bag respectively were stolen. This is confirmed according to the AG by Henry Osekwabena, who told the police on July 4 that he brought the box of money to her sister for safekeeping. Notwithstanding, the AG says that the confirmation by Cecilia Dapaah's brother, it is important for the police to conduct independent investigation into this to ascertain the veracity of the story. 1, the true ownership of the amount, that is $800,000, the source from which the established owner of the amount of $800,000 came from, and then also whether the accused actually stole the full amount of $800,000 from the house of the complainant. Now, the AG, in summarizing the advice to the police, said that it is important for the police to establish the ownership of the various amounts of money dishonestly appropriated to avoid any duplicity in the charges. Also, the AG knows that the police investigating the acquisition of various properties by the first and second accused persons, which investigation border of money laundering. The advice rendered above implies that you should broaden the investigations on money laundering and other financial crimes to cover the complainants in order to establish the matters raised above. This is in light of the huge volume of cash reported by the complainant to have been stolen from her home. It is also noted that the Cecilia Dapaah, until recently, was a high-level public official, whilst her husband, Daniel Osekwafo, in a statement to the police, indicated his profession as an architect. He says the police investigation into these matters is required to enable the Attorney General take a comprehensive decision on the case.
Elton Brobe there with details of the AG's advice to the police on this matter. Now, the minority in Parliament is taking on President Akufo-Addo for claiming the abandoned Saglemi affordable housing project will be too costly to complete after he cut sword for the construction of a new affordable housing project in Pokwase. The minority says the president's claims are untrue. Speaking to Joy News, Minority MP on the Works and Housing Committee, Andrew Dari Chiwete, said the Saglemi project has been abandoned due to political reasons and not financial ones.
The project that we have done, you visited that site. You saw the level that we got to. This government allowed their party boys to go in and pick the doors. They picked the glasses. They picked everything. Sinks. They removed the sink of the building. All these things are what is going to increase the cost of the project. That project, if well done, should serve Ghanaians. That is why he's the president. He should be able to find resources to complete that project. We should not go about saying that it will be expensive. So we should abandon it. Is that the idea?
Well, on Tuesday, the minority in Parliament boycotted the sword-cutting ceremony. They argued that even before Parliament will approve financing for the project, government had gone ahead to start it. Minister for Works and Housing, Francis Asensio-Boakye, at the sword-cutting ceremony, said it was the best deal for the country.
These projects did not progress as expected, primarily because it failed to consider the entire ecosystem involved in the delivery of housing, such as the availability of land, infrastructure, sustainable funding, building materials, and an inclusive demand-side arrangement.
Minister for Works and Housing, Francis Asensio-Boakye. Let's head to Parliament now. Parliamentary correspondent Kweku Asante is there for us. Kweku, we understand the House is concluding debate on the mid-year review. What more can you tell us?
Well, the House hasn't started sitting yet because the Speaker, his deputies are all engaged in some assignments within the presence of Parliament. So that hasn't started. But even before that, I've been speaking to some NDC MPs on some national issues. For instance, I've been speaking to Dr. Kwame Donko, who is taking aim at the Auditor General for auditing the Electricity Company of Ghana. He says that as per the laws of the country, ECD and other said public companies are not subject to the Auditor General in terms of auditing and even the public procurement laws, and he wants that to cease. Those are the kind of issues that are coming up ahead of leadership, wrapping up the debate on the floor later today.
Kweku Asante there joining us from Parliament. You're listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Still to come, 7 dead in accident at Nkinkansu on the Kumasi-Tichiman Highway.
Imagine say water wake up at dawn. You know both. You know chop. Where it vanish for your area for 2 weeks. You not get one drop safe inside your tank.
Hey.
Haja, our life was in dangerous. Only our neighbor get water with water tank.
Water tank?
Yes, water tank. Mamma mia, that water tank get meter for checking water level. That water tank be fine past Kumasi Selendion. That water tank be tough like Ghana Army. That water tank, they carry water pepe, so say some no go left inside the supply tank. What a tank! As my boss, Mr. Poncho, go talk.
Beautiful, durable, with water level indicator and accurate volume of water. Water tank. What a tank! By Duraplast.
Thanks for staying on the Midday News with me, Bernice Abubedolan's up next to sports, and Daniel Cranting has the latest.
Hi, Bernice. The quest to end Ghana's 41-year AFCON drought would even be tougher should the Black Stars seal qualification to Côte d'Ivoire 2024, and that's according to Black Stars head coach Chris Hughton. The Black Stars will qualify for the competition if they avoid defeat in their final qualifier at home against the Central African Republic in September. Hughton reckons the improvement in quality of the teams on the continent will require the Black Stars to be at their very best if they are to bring home the trophy.
Once you get there, what you want to do is you want to perform and perform well. I mean, one thing I have seen, Jim, in my travels and the games we've played is that the level of the African countries now has improved. Absolutely, no doubt. And I think it's because of infrastructure. So many more now. The African players playing at good level, good clubs, the Europeans with good structure. There are some balances now. What were regarded as the lesser footballing countries have now improved. So the competition is greater.
You had Black Stars head coach Chris Hughton speaking. In the Women's World Cup, South Africa through to the last 16 after claiming their first ever win with a thrilling 3-2 victory over Italy. Thembi Katlane's 92nd minute winner proved the difference after Italy fought back to level with just 15 minutes to time. A draw would have been enough for the Italians to make it through to the knockout rounds, but South Africa will now face Netherlands on Sunday. Elsewhere, Brazil are out of the competition after a goalless draw in their final group game against Jamaica. That's all for sports. Back to you, Bernice.
Thank you, Daniel. Now, 7 people have been been confirmed dead and several others injured after a commercial bus and a trailer collided head-on at Kinkansu on the Kumasi-Techiman Highway. The accident, we are told, occurred in the early hours of today. According to eyewitnesses, the bus carrying passengers from Kumasi to the northern region made a wrong overtaking and crashed into the coming trailer. Correspondent Eric Obeng has more.
I got to the scene around 7:30, and according to an eyewitness that was at the scene, he said the accident occurred around 6:30 this morning, and that is a U-turn VIP bus from Accra to Techiman with a registration number AP 198622, and the trailer is from Burkina Faso heading towards Tamale with registration number 2315 F103.
That's our correspondent Eric Obeng. Now to some other stories here. The Ghana AIDS Commission is seeking public support in raising funds for its activities. Director General Dr. Stephen Achiahenetrem, in an interview with Joy News, revealed international donors are demanding 60% local funding. He fears the target of eliminating the disease by 2030 may not be achieved if citizens do not donate towards its activities.
We have the strategies to achieve it. We have the policies, we have the programs and the tools to achieve. We have the human capacity to achieve the targets. However, we don't have the resources to provide the services that will enable us achieve the targets. And that is where one of the major problems. And so the Commission, within its mandate, is initiating domestic resource mobilization activities, campaign, and without the contribution of Ghanaians, we will fail.
Dr. Achiahenetrem is Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission. Boakye Agyarko is hoping to be among the top 5 candidates who will emerge from the 10 persons who are seeking to lead the New Patriotic Party. The Superdelegates Congress of the party is expected to prune the number down to 5 from 10. Mr. Agyarko says his message is to return power to the grassroots of the party, and he believes he's the best to hand the NPP victory in 2024. Kwekwa Asante of our political desk has more.
With barely 3 weeks to go, Boakye Agyarko is ramping up his message to delegates as he hopes to be part of the 5 of 10 candidates the super delegates of the NPP will endorse to contest the party's flag bearership in November. The former energy minister believes the current economic challenge could pose a threat to the party's chances in 2024.
I admit, but all difficult times require new leadership and new thinking.
Boakye Agyarko has a message to his contenders who believe they can win the 2024 election simply because of their so-called special qualities.
Our winning 2024 is not going to be on the back of somebody's might. It is not going to be one person. It is going to be people like you who are going to go down to the grassroots. No one person is going to win victory for us in 2024.
This is your election headquarters. We'll be bringing you more on the NPP Superdelegates Congress. And the Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff in the West African sub-region are currently in a meeting in Abuja deliberating on the best response to the political crisis in Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger. The use of the ECOWAS standby military force to restore constitutional rule in these 3 countries remains the most viable option. But the military leaders in Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger have made it clear any such attempt will be viewed as a declaration of war. Defense Minister of Ghana, Dominic Nitiwul, says the country is ready to contribute troops if ECOWAS gives the directive.
ECOWAS has given the junta a 1-week ultimatum to hand over or face severe consequences, including the use of force. After the 1 week, we will seek the direction of the presidents exactly what they will do. But I can say that the member states are ready. If it means using force, the member states will be ready to do that.
Dominic Nitiwul is Defense Minister of Ghana, and the activities of insurgents in the Sahel remains a threat to countries such as Ghana, but President Akufo-Addo says the safety of Ghanaians remains his topmost priority.
We need to restore all these countries to democratic rule. We have the methods to doing so are what are proving to be difficult. Whilst we're dealing with these issues of security, we can never overlook the vital imperative of finding the means to propel the economic growth and development of our nations.
President Akufo-Addo ending this edition of the Midday News here on Joy 99.7, brought to you by Duraplast Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplast goes, water flows. Thanks for your company. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com, including 2 more suspects arrested in connection with money stolen from Cecilia Dapar's home. I'm Bernice Abubedu Lanza. Do stay with us. Up next is Living Word.